Hello, 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 hello. My name is Angel. I'm in the process of making, I'm in the practice. I'm in the practice. I'm in the practice of making more space for my natural soul's expression. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? The meaning of that practice has taken its time. I'm in an articulation gap. That's what this is. And so what I think that means for me is finding it hard to articulate my natural soul's expression. And that's what this practice is for, is to help me kind of externally process how it is that I might fully express my human experience, how I might fully express coherently, concise what I'm feeling called to do, you know? And when I can't find the words or when I get caught up in the perfectionism parts of it all, man, my nervous system response is to freeze. It's to freeze. So today I'm like, okay, I have a few things that I've been, experiencing that I've been called to bring to YouTube to place in that little bit of a machine or process. But again, I just get so tongue-tied. And that's the practice. Something I've been experiencing lately is abundance and love and support and safety and security and freedom. And yet my nervous system still froze. Now, I will say it didn't freeze for long, but it was very interesting to kind of observe that change is still change. And because there is an unknown, I remember once when I was in Canada and I was in some of the most beautiful places on the planet. You know, when you think of like a Canadian postcard and you see like Lake Moraine or some of those glacier lakes with that gorgeous colored water, ice cold, gorgeous greenery around. I was there. I was there. I was in that postcard. And I just remember, I've never really been good with crowds, but tourism tourism brings forth a certain level of I don't know, I don't want to sound too judgy. I don't want to sound judgy at all. Pardon me. I'm still working this new setup here. My the thing that I'm using for a desk is very, very wobbly. Oh. Um, anyhow, this story time is about the time that I was in one of the most beautiful places on the planet. And my nervous system froze and my body froze. Yeah, at the time, I had no idea that's what was going on. I simply chalked it up to I'm not good with crowds. But I was so overwhelmed. I distinctly remember being so overwhelmed with the huge, vast of crowds and all that energy and people not being super considerate of other people's space and yeah, just space. And I remembered shutting down. I remember turning from the crowd, and there was like a little cottage with a fence And my go-to, if I'm in nature, is to focus on nature. Like I would, my attachment style is anxious avoidant as well. So I avoided the humans and I looked at this little yard of this little cottage that was fenced in. And it was gorgeous. I mean, there were butterflies, there were flowers, there was greenery, and I was just looking at the beauty. But the person I was there with grew very impatient. He wanted to travel. He wanted to go on an adventure. He wanted to be, he wanted to go, 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 but I couldn't even be present. And I can't help but think of that story as I recall these last few weeks of a lot of positive change happening in my life. As you may or may not know, 2 years ago, every single core wound that I have, have, was burst open at the seams. This is not a blame. This is not a shame. This is not a gossip. I'm not spilling the tea. This is just simply what happened from my experience, right? 2 years ago, every single core wound was ripped open. And I had spent the last 2 years trying to make sense of it all, sifting and sorting through my healing, right? And that comes with layers, lots and lots of layers and lots of work, right? Dealing with the root cause excavation of like things from the past, from my childhood, right? Trying to establish like what my part in my life blowing up 2 years ago was, like that then present version of me, what I was doing, not doing, how I was showing up. And then also, living in a new environment with with external forces that were completely opposite of mine, right? Different lifestyles, different mentalities and mindsets, different priorities, different values. And in a new environment, trying to heal from the past, assess the then present in a weird environment. And it was rough. It was very rough. And so, cut to about maybe 3 weeks ago, I've changed environments. I've created a bit of understanding of the past and the root causes of things. I've come to a certain level of acceptance of, the experiences and situations that unfolded 2 years ago. And I've created coherence, even if just a little bit, of connectivity between the mind, the body, and the spirit, which I bring forth, is this present version of me. I say all that to say there's been a lot of good, a lot of good, a lot of good. I learned from the last situation that environment matters. I now live in a home and with people who see me, who love me, who support me. I just wrapped up the first pilot round of my coaching program that I'm creating. And so like I know what I need to do next, right? There's a process there if I want to make it better so that I can better package it and lead, these women through their transformation. I'm learning myself a lot more, and I think that's the underneath it all is like for the first time I get to embark on creating this life from a partnership with myself, which is fascinating, right? And one might, I mean, yes, you can definitely look at it in such like, wow, what a blessing. And it's proof that all my hard work is paying off, right? But something I didn't see coming, and I may or may not have said this in a previous video, but the nervous system still needed recalibration. There are days that I still find myself kind of stuck. My first initial nervous system response is to freeze, fight, flight, freeze. Um, I'm no longer a runner. Once I realized that I had an anxious avoidant attachment style, I decided I wasn't going to avoid anything anymore for science, just to see what would happen. What if I faced every single thing in my life? That's been exciting. On the journey of facing things, there still is that anxious piece. Um, on the journey of facing things, there can be those moments in the frozen, when in the freeze, that I begin to um, shame and criticize and judge myself and wonder if the moves that I've been making are good, right? Because if the nervous system is activated, then essentially it's telling your brain, oh, we're unsafe, we're unsafe. And so I really had to dance with my ego. She had me questioning, like, is this right for us? Right? And judging my inner saboteur. I'm feeling very vulnerable in this moment. So let me breathe, because this is the work. This is the practice. My inner saboteur was calling me a failure, and I started to believe it. I'm like, yeah, I am a failure. I'm X amount age. I'm not where I want to be in this life. I was measuring myself up to old versions of success. Your girl's always had goals in this life. And I have to say, like, every single goal I've ever set, I've gotten to, but an old version of success was my previous life. And so, because I have a little bit of infrastructure of how to be aware when I'm in those negative loops, how to catch it when I'm in those negative loops, and how to flip it when I'm in those negative loops. Sorry, the Bop It commercial just popped in my head. Um, I, I spent some time there. I think I was so activated that it was rough. I was in the white water there for a second. Then I laughed. Yeah, I laughed because, yeah, if you're comparing your present self and the next phase of your life to old versions of success, you are going to fail. Your arrow isn't even pointed at that target. So, yeah, you're going in a completely different, you are failing at hitting that target. But what else does that mean? Well, I had to sit there and I had to ask myself, well, Angel, what is this new phase or version of yourself's um, definition of success? What does success now look like for you? And I just redid my whiteboard, the capacity work that had been on there for 2 years. I finally wiped it all clean and I sat with myself in deep meditation and decided that this was my next level of work, the mindset needed, the community I'm gonna need to surround my like support, what I need to learn, what I've learned, what I've practiced, all the things. And then yes, there is a small thing of like, because I like to know like, well, how will I know when I'm operating at the next level of success? How will that feel? Right? So write down, the feelings, how will I be um living my days? How will I be walking? How will I be talking? What will my relationships look like? How will that feel? And I wrote that down, right? And so I know my bed is made like this, but I essentially, when I go to bed and sleep, my head is over here. So this is at my feet. So while I was in that loop, this is how good spirit is. And this is why I believe in the power of making space for your spirit because check this out, check this out, check this out. I was in a loop, that loop that I was talking about. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course, of course you're going to be a failure if you're measuring yourself up to that version of success. We are now looking at this next level of success. That's gone. So what does that look like? And I woke up and I sat up to meditate and I looked at the board and it was like, oh, that's the level. And I started looking and I was like, well, I feel that most days. I feel that most days. I'm doing that most days. And I'm doing that most days. Wait a second. I'm not a failure in the slightest. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I was able to become clear. And this is what it means, like sit in the feelings, but then take the time to really find the truth in things and flip the script, you know? Because according to my new version of success, I'm actually already there. Most days. Most days I am already there. Okay. So I'm trying to find where I started in all of this. Lots of good changes happening. The nervous system still needed recalibrating. That was one of the top examples of how I've been able to um, be with myself when the nervous system does start to like throw her check engine lights. We're not safe. We're not safe. Well, the fact of the matter is we are. It's okay. And here's evidence, right? It's almost like it's like a little kid. Like when you're taking the kid to the first day of school, she's been excited to go to school, but you're not just going to send her in and be like, okay, have fun. I would like to think that I would be the type of mom that would hold her hand, acclimate her to the environment, help her meet a friend, find some support, right? A mentor, the teacher, this, that, and the other, and help her get comfortable. And so that's what this is. I'm helping myself get acclimated to all of this. Now, um, I did so in this whole practice of like making space for my natural soul's expression, there are these moments where I just get like full, like little downloads from spirit. And sometimes you'll see them here on camera, and sometimes you won't. But God, nature, spirit, whatever you want to call it, was like, listen, all you need to do, you as the human version of you, is alchemize the human experience, alchemize the density. And I feel like that is one of the practices to do so. Feeling something that's, if someone comes in here right this moment and says, Angel, you're a failure, like that's just adding like a negative vibration, a heavy thing, right? It's dense energy. But when I was able to rewrite and show myself evidence of that, one, it makes sense why I would feel so validate the emotions. It makes sense why I would feel like a failure. But the truth is I'm actually already operating at the next level of success. So now, if you're actually a success, the truth of the matter is, to a certain degree, you're already successful. Look at my body language right now. I'm already sitting up taller. I feel lighter. I feel capable. I feel confident. I'm already projecting more. The nervousness that I felt at the beginning of this video is completely dissipated. This is why it is important to get out of our heads, get out of your mind. For real, for real. Okay, hold on, hold on. It's not just enough to understand things and intellectualize things on a mental level. It is important to excavate and find the root cause of certain things if you need that certain level of understanding so that you don't bypass things. But it's not enough. It's not enough. We must get out of the mind. We must get out of the mind because that feeling of lightness, that shift in the vibration, if we can create and live our lives from that freedom, even this video, the beginning of it was starting to be created from a fear of being seen in the messy parts, a fear of not being perfect, a fear of not saying the right things. Feel that in the body. Makes you feel small, makes you want to just hide, makes you want to just shrink. Shrinking is the energy that I'm getting from that. And yet, when we can, quote, alchemize the density of the human experience, begin to feel lighter, more ease, peaceful, present, accepting, compassionate, patience. You see? Light. And the most important part is, not most, excuse me, I second guessed myself. Because it's all very important. It's all very important. If we can find a way to, in fact, like I'm doing in this moment, get out of the mind, really breathe it into the body, breathe, let go of those lower vibrational feelings we were feeling, failure and smallness in this case. And if we can truly embody all that lightness that we've come into, then what becomes possible? Well, let's see. I can share this with confidence, knowing that I am not the only one. If you are human, guaranteed you've experienced these things from time to time, if not every day, because the human's nervous system is continuously and constantly being played upon. And so I'm basically just showing one version of moving through the mechanics, right? When we understand things on a mental level and intellectualize them and yeah, just understand mentally, that's understanding the mechanics of it. But the practice is equally, if not more, important. Can you imagine a world where more people are operating from this lightheartedness that we're embodying in this moment? Right now, I'm fully here. There's no comparison. There's no jealousy. There's no inadequacy. There's no failure. There's no falling behind. There's no scarcity. So what then becomes the possibility? Connection, confidence, clarity. My heart is pounding because for the first time, like what I can feel right now is I am speaking from this bigger part of me. And in this moment, all I can hear is wear the crown. Oh, wow, what's that? Wear the crown, angel. Wear the crown. I'll have to um I'll have to uncover that a little bit more. What does that mean? Wear the crown. Oh, it's safe to be seen. Safe to be seen in this. This is so brand new. This is so leading edge for me, y'all. It's safe to be seen. I'm going to end it there. I'm going to end it there. Thank you.